there! What's up? I'm Anthony Tresca. Welcome to this episode of Spooky Scraps, where we take a horror property, find something weird or obscure about it, and then we talk about that. And on this episode, we are not going to be looking at a different horror property so much as diving into something that is already present within Nightmare on Elm Street 4. And joining me today to get spooky and scrappy is Dr. Katherine Troyer.
Yeah, so the idea for today's Spooky Scrap comes from something we talked about in our actual episode on Dream Master, and that is that we were talking about how there's this sort of like almost throwaway line at the very end about Alice, right? And the
Yes.
sort of like through the looking glass. And then you and I got sort of unacceptably excited for what we saw as the like potential for Freddy to enter the larger literary world in the same way that the Muppets have very successfully entered such greats as Treasure Island. So we thought that we would kind of just like talk through how Freddy could be in all of these different movies, how we could have these adaptations of, you know, like Freddy Krueger and Treasure Island instead of Muppets and Treasure Island, and what would happen within those films if Freddy interrupts these great literary classics.
Consider it the Muppetification of Freddy Krueger. So we're just going to go ahead and just talk about obviously things that would be made, literary works that would be made better, and some literary works that would be made much worse by changing only one thing. We are going to introduce the Dream Master himself, Freddy Krueger, into these literary works and just talk about what we think might happen. So, I mean, I think an obvious one is Alice in Wonderland itself. I feel like it would make Freddy Krueger... Honestly, I don't even know if it would change the world that Lewis Carroll has created that much to introduce this insane murderer into it.
I don't think it would, but I think what would be delightful is if it took Freddy like a good, maybe even up to half of the film to figure out what was going on, because he's just so upset that the world is so chaotic and that like no one is feels discombobulated, right? Because in all of the Freddy films, everyone's like, oh my gosh, is this a dream world? I don't know. Yeah. And then they like have to learn the rules. It'd be fantastic if everyone's like, oh, you have knives for fingers? Excellent. I'm a giant, hookah smoking caterpillar. And then we just kind of like see Freddy's growth as a character because he has to learn how to fit in this world.
It's Freddy in Wonderland. It works super well. I think that would be highly entertaining.
It'd be amazing.
To see Freddy Krueger for once finally be the discombobulated one. This figure. And then ultimately, of course, I'm sure he can murder all of Wonderland.
Yeah.
But we at least do get to see it be done in a different way. This time, Freddy doesn't always have the control here, because how can you always be in control in this wacky Wonderland?
Yes. I think that, I mean, of the ones we're going to talk about, I'm pretty sure that's the one I legitimately would want to see, because it makes such perfect sense. Even starting with Alice falling asleep, right? At the start. I would like to see a Moby Dick inspired, or Freddy and Moby Dick. In part because I'm a big fan of nautical horror, so we'd get that element in there. We could have a lot of like really great drowning things, and let's face it, Nightmare on Elm Street knows how to do water scenes really well. Water beds.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Just they know how to do it. But also, so Freddy is this character who's so obsessed with killing, and killing, these children who may be or may not be the children of the people who killed him. And I just would like to see him go head to head against Ahab, who's like, sorry, Freddy, I don't have time for this. I'm in the middle of a hunt. And also then we could have the dreams of the whale. And I just think that would be exciting.
Dreams of a whale. Exciting. Not a sentence I thought I would hear in recording this episode today.
But it is the sentence you got. So I think Moby Dick.
Moby Dick would be an interesting one. I think maybe throwing in him to Frankenstein. Frankenstein's already the birth of the monster genre in a lot of ways. So why not just have Victor Frankenstein create Freddy Krueger?
Ooh, that's interesting.
So in this version, I think we would have Freddy be the Frankenstein's monster or creature, however you want to say it. I know that the English people out there will get angry if I don't refer to it as the creature.
This is true.
It's not the monster, it's the creature, of course. But I think it would be delightful to have the monster not only just be like, obviously, this thing that Frankenstein has created and now hates, but also this thing that can follow him around in his dreams, literally. The monster creature already follows Victor throughout the novel. But now to be able to see him literally follow him in the mind.
Yes.
Would add another layer.
I could also see an interesting version of Frankenstein where the doctor creates the creature, and then Freddy is terrorizing the creature. So if we wanted to make it so that the creatures really are going to be our hero, and then, the creature is constantly having to say, like, no, I didn't kill so-and-so, I promise you.
That would be funny, too.
Yeah, and so we get to have some of the humor in there, and then that way at the end, we get to have a sort of Freddy versus Jason, but in this case it'd be Freddy versus the creature.
Freddy versus the monster. Mm-hmm. Oh, that would be amazing. Another text I think would work well, Lord of the Flies. I think he even just fits right in there. That one, I don't even know if it would be that much of a stretch. You just have Freddy also be terrorizing the boys on this island.
Yeah, so I watched several horror movies recently that were there's someone in the woods who's terrorizing this group of people. And one of the things that was missing from all of those is that I wanted it to turn into a tale where this person who has been living in the forest and terrorizing people for, a very long time, suddenly realizes that he is underprepared for this troop of like Boy Scouts. Because and so I really think that this would be a fun way for us to kind of play with the idea of like, Freddy has faced many people before, but nothing has prepared him for a group of prepubescent boys who are already angry and hungry. Like,
what if they just break Freddy? Like, the boys
I think that'd
on
be
the
delightful.
Island are too much, and then Freddy is like, I am going to have to kill myself to get out of this hellscape that has been created on this island.
I think that would be just the best version of things possible. I think, too, if we're going to go, with some more recent horror, The Shining would be great, right? It would just be fun to see Freddy manipulating Jack, right, a little bit more so that it's not just the Overlook that Jack has to fight against, it's also Freddy. And, it already works so nicely with a lot of the themes going on, but I think it would just be really, like, talk about hitting 0 to 60 really extra fast, right? Because Jack would just never stand a chance.
Oh, yeah. No, absolutely not. So those are some of our suggestions of classic literary tales to Freddyify by throwing in our homeboy, Freddy Krueger, into the mix of these editions.
And if we're talking about some that I don't think would work, and we don't have to explain why, but I don't think Jane Austen, although she's been appropriated for zombies and sea monsters, I think she would probably not hold up as well to Freddy. Although, I don't know, maybe that's what we need next.
So, let us know what you think. What are some classic literary works that you would love to see Freddy put into? What are some that would not work so well? Let us know in the comments below. We would love to hear what you think about this topic.
And in the meantime,
it's an important topic.
It is an important topic. A super important topic. And in the meantime, we wish you a spooktacular day.